Shakur Stevenson gets the unanimous decision win over Artem Harnatunian. And I don't know, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys thought about that performance. I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts on the performance. I honestly thought he had a great performance. Don't get me wrong. I find it kind of funny because it was a way better performance, at least from a convincing aspect in terms of, you know, how good he looked in comparison to the Edwin De Los Santos fight, where we had a lot of questions of whether or not he even won that fight. I thought he won the fight kind of clearly in my opinion, but not to his cleanest ability. And I think this fight was a lot cleaner. But the thing is that for me, something that bothered me watching Shakur fight Artem was the fact that, you know, he throws a lot of shots, but they're too few and far in between. I would like to see more combination punching. I would like to see more of a display of the fast hands, because he has fast hands. It's just more so being able to pull that trigger when it comes to the combinations. I just didn't see a lot of volume from a guy like Shakur Stevenson in there with Artem. I thought, you know, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't like at the same time from Shakur Stevenson. He talked about his inability to cut off the ring in that fight, where he kind of struggled. He kind of tried to send Artem one way, but he would find a way to get around and go in a direction that Shakur wasn't wanting him in. And, you know, Shakur, he's a good fighter, man. He's definitely a great boxer. I just don't know if he has the tools to beat Tank Davis. You know, I think he can, but in order for Shakur to beat Tank, after watching that performance, and it kind of sucks because, you know, it's hard. It's funny to think that, you know, the fact that we were criticizing Shakur in his last performance, but he had a much better performance, but it almost, you know, even more so decreases my belief that he can beat Tank, to be honest, because even though he had a better performance, it showed me that when he tries to be something he's not, and when he tries to be more aggressive and throw the combination shots, he tends to get, you know, countered. He tends to get touched up by his opponents, and that shows me against a guy like Tank, I'm not sure he'd be able to, you know, withstand a lot of those shots. I'm not saying that his defense isn't great. Shakur's best asset is his defense, but it would have to be perfect to beat Tank. I don't think Tank's not going to get hurt by what Shakur has, because I think if Artem was in there with Gervonta Davis, Tank would have stopped him. Shakur wasn't able to. Shakur even said, I think it was early in the fight, like after the second or third round, Shakur was saying that he was going to stop him, and he couldn't do it, and had 9-10 more rounds to do it. So I'm not trying to be a hater, but I can't help but pick Tank to beat Shakur right now. I think that the power, when all else is equal, both fighters have skills. There's no doubt that Shakur has skills, but the thing that stands out between the two is Gervonta Davis's knockout power. You know, I know that Shakur could very well pull off a win against Tank. It's more so, you know, the odds that you're betting with. Do you bet on Shakur, a guy that, you know, would have to stay clean for 12 rounds? That's 36 minutes without really getting touched by anything significant from Tank Davis. I just don't think that Shakur beats him. I think Tank wins by stoppage. That's just my opinion, but not to say that Shakur can't compete, but if I had to put money on it right now, if you ask me who I favor in that fight, it's got to be Tank. Based on what we've seen, and it was a good performance. You know, he rarely got hit, but when he did, the thing that I noticed the most was when he was really frustrated and eager for that stoppage. It showed me that when he does try to become aggressive and become the combination puncher like we want him to, and be exciting, he gets hit. And more than anything, Shakur doesn't want to get hit. That's the one thing that he tries to make sure, that he can hit you and you don't hit him. But it can't just be one shot and then you don't get hit. It has to be, you know, doing significant damage and throwing multiple shots. In my opinion, I think we got to see combinations. We got to see something special. And I'm going to say something, and I don't want it to come off as disrespectful, but the truth is that I'm not going to say Shakur doesn't have any special offensive, you know, weapon, but he's not displaying anything. He's not displaying or showing Tank, showing anybody at the 135-pound weight class that you have to worry about my left hand, that you have to worry about my right hook to the body. No, there's nothing like that from Shakur. You know, he has a good jab, but it's not really hurting guys. You know, he goes to the body. We don't really see Shakur stop guys the way that we see Tank do it. And the thing is, if these two styles clash, when all else is equal, what's going to stand out? It's going to be the power. That's why I'm picking Tank to beat Shakur, and I still think it's a close fight. There's a very strong possibility that Shakur can somehow find a way to pull off a win against Tank, but he's gonna have to be perfect, and I mean perfect defensively. You know, defensively he can't really get touched by anything significant. I think that Artem was able to land some shots, and if you know Tank takes those same opportunities, the blows are going to be much more devastating than what Artem has to offer. And as good as Shakur is, I just think power is that much of a factor when these two guys fight. I just don't. I'm very, you know, curious, and I don't want to say doubtful, but I do question Shakur's power. I just think you need something. You need some thump to keep Tank honest, to keep him at bay, and I don't think Shakur showed me that on Saturday night. If anything, he showed a clinic, and that's great and all. We knew already before that fight that he would be able to do that. We wanted to see that statement, and like I said leading up to the fight, I was saying that he needs a statement win, and he didn't put that stamp on it like I asked him to. You know, he even showed some frustration not being able to get the stoppage, and that comes with the territory. I think he found out that he doesn't have that level of power that he thought he had. That's what I think. I think that Shakur was shocked that Artem was still there after round 5, 6, and 7, and that's when it all started. You know, the frustration started to kick in. We saw, you know, Shakur do what we wanted him to do. He became a more offensive fighter, but to what extent? He started getting hit. You know, he started getting hit when he opened up and tried to be more aggressive and get Artem out of there, and that just showed me against a guy like Tank, if he's trying to beat him to the punch and throw combinations, if he exchanges for even a moment, in that split second, a lapse of judgment could create a big shot from Tank that could knock out Shakur. So I still want to see it. They're saying that Shakur Stevenson is probably going to be Tank's next fight because apparently, according to Gervonta Davis's coach, Kenny Ellis, Lomachenko is turning down the immediate fight, and he wants to see Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis go at it, and then apparently Lomachenko will fight the winner. That's what you know, Gervonta Davis's coach said. So I'm not mad at it. I wouldn't mind to see a Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis. I'm just, after that performance, the power, I'm a little bit worried for Shakur, and I don't like the fight for Tank right away, honestly. After seeing that performance, I don't like the Tank fight for Shakur. I think Shakur would be better off fighting a guy like Devin, and honestly, Devin might be able to beat Shakur. I don't know. I think Devin takes more risk. He's more exciting, but maybe that's not necessarily a good thing in that matchup. I think as good as Shakur is, you know, he didn't show me something that leads me to believe that I confidently would pick him over Tank. He didn't show me that, and that's just facts. That's me being honest, keeping it 100. I like Shakur. I think he's a great fighter. I still think that he could potentially pull off the win against Tank. It's just, based off what I see, I can't possibly pick Shakur over Tank. Tank's showing me more and more impressive performances. Meanwhile, I see Shakur do his thing time in, time again, but I'm not seeing anything new. I'm not seeing any you know, weaponry that's new, and that's something that other fighters need to be concerned about. Tank's not going to worry about, you know, all the boxing. He's just going to try to land that shot, and Shakur's going to have to avoid it for 12 rounds. And as creative as Tank is offensively, I'm not sure Shakur will be able to predict everything. I know he sees everything coming, you know, 2-3 steps ahead of his opponents, but that's been, you know, at a B minus level. I think fighting a guy like Tank, who in my opinion is an A+ fighter, is going to be a big jump in opposition for Shakur Stevenson. So honestly, I don't even like the fight for Shakur just yet. You know, I obviously want to see it, and if we get it next, I'm of course going to watch it, but I actually would prefer Shakur goes and fights a guy like Devin at 140, honestly, because there's too much of a risk fighting Tank. After watching that fight, Shakur got clipped when he opened up and tried to engage with Artem, and Artem, you know, not anything special. You know, Tank is something special, so that's what's concerning to me, in my opinion. I think that Teofimo Lopez, even though I disagree with a lot of what he says, and sometimes I'm not always happy with Teo's performances, he was stating facts. He said that, you know, Shakur should try to make 26 and 30 if he can, because he's not going to be able to have power at 35, and I think that's starting to, you know, appear to be true, in my opinion, after that fight against Artem. And I'm not somebody that doesn't appreciate the sweet science. I appreciate the sweet science, but don't compare what Shakur is doing to Floyd. That's not what Floyd used to do. Floyd used to beat these guys down. You could visibly see it, and he would stop guys at Shakur's age. So you can't compare Shakur Stevenson and Floyd just yet. We're still waiting to see that offensive, superstar level of skill from Shakur Stevenson. We know the defense is there. It's just offensively, there's not really anything spectacular that leads you to believe this guy's the one to beat Tank. That's just my opinion. I think defensively, if he makes it a very boring fight, lands his shots, and then ties Tank up and continues to move around, be very mobile, then he can pull off a win, but it won't be interesting. So I don't think people would really care to see Shakur fight a guy like Tank. If anything, the stock in that fight probably decreased a little bit, but I still want to see it. I still think it's a great fight. I just think that right now I have to lean towards Tank when it comes to picking between the two. But let me know in the comments who you guys got. Shakur and Tank seems like it could be the next fight for both guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about Shakur's performance against Artem Harnatunian. But thank you guys for watching today's video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.